I mentioned something that Dylan Raiola said that kind of caught my attention a little bit in the pressers yesterday, because I thought for the most part we didn't get a lot of meat on the bone. It was more about how the guys carried themselves for the quarterbacks than it was the actual content of what they were saying, with the exception, although this kind of crosses both of those lines here, of something that Dylan mentioned a couple times when asked about the work that he's putting in so far this season. And his answer to one of them was he was asked about the early morning throwing sessions. And his answer was essentially, it goes to show you how much the receivers care about getting the extra work in. And he says, anytime my guys want to go throw, I'm going to show up for them. And the reason that caught me is most of the time when people are asked about the extra work they put in, athletes, whatever, it's, oh, I'm just trying to be the best I can be. It's like they kind of give you the I'm a grinder answer, right? I thought it was interesting that he deflected that off of himself entirely and was like, oh man, the receivers are so dedicated to getting better and getting work in. Like, is that something, or is that a nothing burger?
No, it's not a nothing burger. I think the way that he answered the question, especially now, being around him, and a lot of it is, and I said this to his parents yesterday because I was by myself for a good hour 30 yesterday after practice, which is what took so long. There was a whole another set of stuff that you have to do as an incoming student athlete where I just was kind of waiting around. So they kind of moseyed in and just grabbing a coffee, and we stopped and talked, and what was going on with Dayton and Dylan. And I said, hey, like just his personality and kind of how he's endeared himself. I said, you guys have done a fantastic job. And so they kind of were talking about the family dynamics and the way that they were talking, which is probably about 30 minutes before he took, probably 20 minutes before he took the podium, it made complete sense. So I think that's his personality.
Yeah.
I do. Like he just watching him carry himself with the guys, he's very, he's very good at reading what's needed. Right. He pays attention to, and he's malleable. Right. He can, if I need to get in here, I can do this. If this is what's needed, I can do this. Like, he's very aware of when the room or that group or that thing needs his fingerprint. And I think that's pretty good at that age, to be aware of your surroundings.
Because, I'm very aware of the fact that obviously I want this to work out, so that I might be allowing myself to be fooled if somebody's, if somebody's good at it right now. But the reason, and I don't mean to pile on who's now your guy with like Russ Wilson, right? But everything he does,
not my guy. He plays for the Steelers.
I said kind of, like LeBron's your guy.
Yeah.
Everything Russ does, it feels like he's trying to say, look how hard I work, right there. And that's why it's so cringy to me. It's never like, if he's working, you have to know about it.
Yeah.
Right. Whereas Raiola goes out of his way here to be like, no, that's the receivers, man. They're super dedicated. And he went that direction with the answer a couple times.
Yeah, I think so. So part of it is his personality. The other part of it is, and this is like, you wouldn't really know this, you can't really see, but as of right now, see, they're not the hardest working group, even though they get the most attention, because the hardest working group, at least the last couple of days, and it's kind of been that way, is the position group that his uncle has. Right. So I got to put this in perspective.
Yeah.
Right. You're the poster child, the face right now, but you have somebody in your family
who's working harder than you.
That you 100%.
Yeah.
And he's kind of the taskmaster.
Yeah.
Right. He can fill in the role.
He's bad cop.
Family wise, that his mom and dad aren't going to do. Right. Dom said it best yesterday. Again, I'm taking notes, right? I'm just watching. I'm asking questions about distance. Would you rather be further away? Would you rather be closer? All this kind of stuff, right? And he says, you know what? You can just sit back and watch now. Now we're fans.
Yeah.
And I was like, will I ever get to be that way? I think so, but maybe not as long as I'm working.
Yeah, I'll say when you're in coach brain, that's really hard. And when you do what we do,
but it was fascinating that he said that, and I kind of probably paused, and it was a little awkward silence, but I just soaked that in. I was like, okay, store that one in the Rolodex. But when you they were by far and away the first group out yesterday.
Yeah,
right, because we sat in meetings, and I didn't know actually what time. I thought practice started at 8:45, but you're told to be there at 7:45.
Yeah, so
that threw me for a loop, which is why I didn't call you yesterday.
That's all right.
So it's whatever. But then we're in meetings, and Menner's got the defensive backs, and so, but that's obviously the room we wanted to go to because they're like, hey, you need to get in meetings.
Yeah, for sure.
I was like, damn, and I didn't want to be in there, so I was kind of I stood where Coach White and a couple of the other coaches were, and because it's the DB room.
Yeah,
but Coach White and those guys are in there, and I think he wanted to hear Menner too, and so, over when we got out, like it's all O-line. So and that's where the opening is from the weight room, and they're in that side of the end zone. So they're the first thing that you see, and everybody's out there. So I'm talking to Menner, and he's kind of going through the size and the skill set and whatever. And a couple of the guys come over, coaches, support staff, and Mike is kind of like mesmerized by Donnie. And I've seen it just because, and plus I know his personality.
Yeah.
Right. Like the dude's he stays on.
Yeah.
But it was funny to hear the other staff talk about him. It's like Coach Raiola's got 2 gears. When he's at a 1, it's go time. And he's got a 5 that's get your ass in gear, and there's nothing in between.
Yeah.
Like
he's the 0 to 100 guy.
And it's real quick.
Yeah.
So when you see those guys working, it's his personality. He's in your family. It in your subconscious, it keeps you humble because you can always do better when you're watching that guy work.
Yeah.
And he's in your family. Yeah. Right.
I'm just in your locker room.
Yeah.
In your actual literal family.
Yeah. Because I'm telling, they went through one-on-ones yesterday, and it the
line.
Yeah. It raised it was fairly brisk yesterday morning. It raised the temp in my heart by about 15 degrees. I'm talking about.
They're getting after it.
Yes. And it's 1v1. They're lined up mano a mano across the field.
Yeah.
Individual battles, all eyes on that one battle. Whistle, next guy, whistle, next guy, whistle, next guy, whistle, next guy, whistle, next guy. And depending on how long they like the drill, it was like, this may be a 4-second whistle. This may be an 8-second whistle. And I'm just telling you, it's like when people think that they can fight. When you're in one and after about 15 seconds, it feels like about 1:15. It's a lot longer than you think. That's how those battles work. And I think it just sets the tone. And the beautiful thing was, it's probably an hour in. Like, it isn't like at the beginning, let's get lathered up.
And fresh, yeah.
No. But you watch their pre-practice, you'd have thought it was practice. So I think that's one of those things that keeps all of it fits with the personalities that we see, because he has a reverence as a person, respect, other son, a good self-awareness. But he also knows a couple doors down, a lot of these dudes are getting it in. You can't be around Coach Barthel 5 seconds and not be on the gas. I left yesterday and I said, just talking to a couple of guys, and I go, it's weird. If I'm just going by feel over the last 20 years, it's a highly intense, you feel the intensity, but guys are cool.
Yeah.
So it's like a good balance, which lets me know, you know what? They're not only are they embracing the competition, but they may like one another. because that's the only way you can really do that.
Oh yeah, to have that level of
Yeah,
intensity and still be cool.
Yeah,
Because otherwise it gets chippy in a hurry.
And there's a lot to it.